Hello, it is time to go for a run. It has been so long since I've gone running. And I mentioned in my vlog, which you probably would have seen already, I forgot A, how early it gets dark here, and B, how dark the dark is. Maybe that's also my local area, maybe I don't have as much street lighting or whatever, but my hours and times for running feel very limited. I feel like I should maybe get one of those like torch headbands so that I can go running more at night. Or even in the morning. This is the thing, I was thinking maybe I can just get up early and do it before work. But even before work, it's dark. But today is my first day off since I got back from Australia, and I'm gonna make the most of it and I'm gonna go for a run. In my head, I'd quite like to do a long run, ideally 5 kilometers or so, but physically, we'll see how we do. As I'm sitting here right now, I feel like that's very doable. I feel full of energy and like I can definitely run for 5 kilometers, if not more. But realistically, I've not run in 2 or 3 weeks, so let's be kind to ourselves. And those runs, every run I did in Australia was a little bit sad and a little bit pathetic, so we'll see what happens. I'm wearing all my new gear and I love it so much. I've got the green top on, so I've got this one in green and purple, and then I've got my leggings. These are the full length, and then I've got a slightly more blue shade in 3/4. Again, that was all, I think, mentioned in a vlog rather than in my running series. So if you don't watch my vlogs, you wouldn't have known that I bought some new stuff in Australia, some new running gear. Each item was the equivalent of £10. It was 20 Australian dollars, which is such a steal. Like, you would find the same stuff in Primark, so at much lower quality, no offense, Primark. And here I am getting it from a much more, I don't want to say necessarily high-end brand, but more high-end than Primark. I have no idea where the brand stands in terms of actual hierarchy, but it doesn't matter. It's good. It feels like it's good quality, and it was cheap. I'm also trying to debate where I'm going to go, because I have a preference for going to the park that's a bit further away, because it's slightly like longer stretches of running, which I like. I mean, I've only been there once, but still. But then I do quite like the thought of being a bit more local, even though both are local. But anyway, I really feel I need to up my running game a little bit now. We are now sort of 3 months away from the run, which is still plenty of time. Like, I think they say you can allow 8 or 10 weeks. So I've definitely got more time than I need, but I'd like to do good, That wasn't proper English, but still. I want to get better at actually running rather than running and walking. And I did sign up for a free 10k in December, actually, I think a month from now exactly. But because it was free, it was all like balloted and, you have to find out if you got an entry, and I don't think I did. It's very confusing, but I don't think I did. But then I've also seen lots of advertisements for Run 31 kilometers in December, and I'm not actually gonna sign up to the charity event because I really want to focus on the cancer research donations. Like, that's the main event for me. But I do like the thought of tracking my running in December and trying to hit 31 kilometers. I feel like that gives me something to work towards, as well as encouraging me. I feel like that's a good idea. But that's December, so we need to go for this run now. I'm gonna warm up, hopefully warm up enough. I don't really have a good sense of how cold it is outside. I think it is quite cold. Let's see what my phone says. Oh, it's 9 degrees, not terrible actually. But I'm bringing this with just in case. It's like a jackety thing. Ta-da! And it's got, yay! So I think I'm gonna start my run wearing this, and then I can always take it off and wrap it around myself. I realised sort of yesterday, I think it was, I kind of wish I'd bought one long sleeve running top. Even though I do like to have my arms free, I think with how cold it can get here, it would probably be a good idea to have at least one long sleeve running top. But I do have this, so for now this will do. And at least I can take this off, whereas a running top I wouldn't be able to take off mid-run, or I shouldn't. Alright, long chat, sorry about that, but I'm just feeling motivated again. This is good because I felt motivated and then I dipped a little bit while I was in Australia, and now I'm motivated again, and let's just hope it doesn't dip in February. And as always, if you want to donate, you can check the link in the description. It would be greatly appreciated, of course. Alright, let's run. Hello. Excuse once again the strange lighting. You're in my cupboard because my room has no space at all. That was not as easy as I was hoping it would be, but also I kind of was prepared for that. As soon as I started running, my right ankle was already a little bit sore. Just a moment. I need to remember to bring tissues, because that was another thing I noticed I was lacking. The ankle pain initially passed quite quickly, but then it came back, just at the end. Each kilometre felt longer than I thought a kilometre should feel, but I got through the first kilometre without stopping to run. I think I did it in like 5 minutes 30, which wasn't too bad. I think I can double check later, but yeah. Second kilometre was all right, but definitely took me longer. Third kilometre was all right. And step one started playing from Kinky Boots, which really got me going. But as a result, I think I overexerted myself and I was like, I don't know if I can do any more. So most of my fourth kilometre was walking. And I had plans sort of after that third kilometre to start heading home because I could feel that I was getting tired. But I thought I'll take a slightly longer route back. And that way at least, even if I'm not running as much, I'm still out for longer trying to do exercise. But unfortunately, I got very lost. I went a route I didn't know and I thought it would be intuitive and it was just totally not. And at some point I gave in and I had to use my Google Maps and I was 10 minutes away from home. Well, a 10-minute walk. Obviously I ended up running it so it didn't take as long. And in total, I ended up pretty much finishing bang on 5 kilometres and under 40 minutes, which honestly, I'm happy with. Like, even though I did walk for a lot of it, I did a 5 kilometre run and I did it in under 40 minutes, which is amazing. Let's have a look at this. It's calling it a night run. I think my time might still be in Australia. Yeah, it thinks I did it at 10:30 at night, which is not quite right. But yeah, this map is definitely a lot more red than the last, like the first few runs I did. And between the third and the fourth kilometre was definitely my slowest. Where do I see the splitting? Actually only by a minute though, which is not so bad. It's not as bad as I thought. And 38 minutes is really, really not bad. Oh, and I did my fastest mile. How fun is that? I want to see how it compares to my other 5 kilometres. It's actually very, very similar to my 5 kilometre run I did back on the 27th of September. And now my grandma's here. Hello. Another day, another run. I'm going to go to the other park today because I sort of told my grandma that I would. And I'm going to aim to get over 6 kilometres today. I don't care how long it takes me. I just want to try. So I'm going to start warming up now and I will see you at the end, probably. Oh, wish me luck. I'm a bit nervous, but I did 5 kilometres not yesterday, the day before, so hopefully I should be okay. Hopefully. I did it. Woo. Hello. I've had lunch and I've showered. Other way around, but anyway, that was a tough run. I left the house and, you know, before I was so enthusiastic. I was like, I'm gonna do 6 kilometres, and actually as I left the house, I could put into the app what my goal was, and I decided to put in 6.5 to go a little bit wild. And I started running, and I think about 200 metres in, I was struggling. Just my breath, it wasn't my legs or any aching or anything like that. I just could not breathe properly. And I have no idea what the cause of that was. I don't know how that happened, but it was a really awful feeling. And I got to the park and I was just like, I just don't know how I'm gonna fare. Like, I don't think I'm gonna get 6 kilometres, let alone 5. But I just started and I went for it. And listen, it was slow. Today was a slow day, but I ended up doing 7 kilometres. So, you know, I was still able to do something. And I feel like having pushed myself, despite feeling so awful, is a win. And as I say, I did loads of walking. It was probably one of my slowest paces ever. But I did it. And that, I feel, is an accomplishment in and of itself. And there was one runner at the park who was going the opposite way to me. So if I was running this way, he was running that way. And he was a fantastic motivator for me because every time I was walking and I could see him coming, I was like, I need to start running now. I need to at the very least run past him. And I mean, he was so much faster. In my one lap, I think he overtook me about 3 times, or I bumped into him about 3 times. But it worked really well because there were so many times where I was like, oh, I'm feeling really tired. Like, I just want to walk a long while. And I could see him coming and I was like, nope, gotta run. And then I think I got to maybe 4 kilometers and I'd seen him in the distance. And then as I sort of ran around the corner where I thought I would be seeing him, he wasn't there anymore. And I thought, oh no, he's gone. And I just didn't know how I was gonna fare. But I definitely do prefer running at that park than at this one. First of all, it's less hilly, which is, I mean, neither are very hilly, but there's slightly less of an incline. Second of all, because it's a bit further away, when I finish at the park, I then have still more to run, if that makes sense, than the other way around. Third of all, as I mentioned in the past, there are more points that I can say, right, I need to get to that bin, or I need to get to that tree, or I need to get to this corner. And there's just less of that in the other park. And oh, it was so gorgeous with the autumn leaves, and it was blue sky. It was actually perfect weather. I didn't even bring my zip-up jacket. So it was a real tough run, really, really tough. But I did 7 kilometers, which is insane. And I think it was just, so basically, going into this run, I said to you guys, 6 kilometers, but I also said to myself, maybe I should just set the goal as being an hour and just see how far I can run in an hour. Well, in the end, I did 7 kilometers in, I think, 56 minutes, so just under an hour, which, as I say, I'm sure it's slow, but that doesn't matter. I did it. And especially on a run where I was feeling rotten, really, really rotten. Yeah, my tempo was 8 minutes. I mean, even my first kilometre, which is usually my fastest, was almost 7. Like, it was really bad. Let's see what I won. I did my longest distance, I did my longest time, and I did a Sunday 5k equivalent. Yeah, I mean, literally every kilometre is really bad. Like, every kilometre is very close to 8 minutes as my pace. But I mean, look at that graph. Look, it was tough. It was really, really, really tough. But I did it, and I did 7 kilometres, and it's proven to myself two things. Number one, I should keep pushing myself. I hope. I did have a thought though during the run of either it's great that I'm pushing myself so much, or this is terrible that I'm pushing myself so much and I'm gonna end up being sick. I hope it's the former, obviously. But yes, number one, great that I can push myself and that I should push myself. And B, I can't remember what B was. Maybe just that I hit 7 kilometres so I can go further. I don't know. Look, it doesn't matter. I did it. And do you know what I was thinking today as well? It feels good to run. Even though it was a struggle today, and to be honest, for me most days, I like the way it feels. It feels healthy. It feels so good to move. It feels so good to get some fresh air because, as I say, my job nowadays is just sitting at a desk inside an office for hours on end. So it feels really good to just move and be out there and, you know, to have this thing that I'm doing. And I've done other exercise forms in the past where it's been a bit more intense or a bit more unrelenting, I suppose. And it would be a class, for example, where other people would say, oh, that feels so good, doesn't it? Even though it's hard at the time. And I wouldn't agree with that. I was always like, no, it doesn't feel good. It just feels awful. So it's nice to have found a thing that I feel, even though it pushes me and even though it is a struggle, I can still enjoy it. And obviously I'm giving myself the space as well to take breaks and to walk instead of run all the time. And maybe I could get faster and further at a faster pace if I was pushing myself more and struggling more, but I think that would take away some of the enjoyment for me. And as I say, at this point, I've still got enough time that I can just enjoy my runs, hopefully. All right, that's the update. I will see you whenever I next run. I don't think I'll be running tomorrow or the day after because I'm working, but Wednesday I'm off. So hopefully I'll get to run on Wednesday. Bye. Hello. In case you can't tell, I'm gonna go for a run. Now, my plan for today's run is a bit different. First of all, this is a new combination, but actually it kind of works. I wasn't sure it would, and it's definitely not something I would wear, you know, usually out and about, these colours together, but it kind of does work. Is it that thing of it being like opposites on the colour wheel? I don't know, but it works somehow, and I can't be missed. So my plan for running today is a little bit different, and what I'm going to try and do, instead of focusing on distance or time, is I want to just focus on running for a longer period of time. So usually I get to 1 kilometre and that's when I start walking, and I want to push myself beyond that. I think that's a bit pathetic. I mean, fine to begin with, but I've now technically been running for 2 months. I gotta do better than that. But I think because I've not been strict with myself about it, that's just how it's gone, and I've been focusing on other things, which is also good, but today we're taking a different approach. So what I'm going to do is, instead of running to the park, I'm going to walk half the way there, and then I'm going to the other park, so there's a downhill, and that's when I'll start running. And I'm gonna say 1.5 kilometers on here that I want to run, but secretly in my head it's 2. But because I don't want to say that on here because I know I might not make it to 2. But by saying 2, that should at least push me to the 1.5. That's my logic. So I'm going to aim to run non-stop for 1.5 kilometers. And then I don't really mind what else I do, if I stay in the park and run a bit more, or if I come back home. I just really want to focus now on running more, as opposed to stopping so much for walking. That's the plan. We'll see what actually happens. Let me just see what's up next in my music, because I've still got this big playlist and I'm trying to listen to it in order so I can cull songs I don't like. But as a result, I sometimes end up with songs I don't know, and even though I might like them, they don't necessarily give me the boost I need at the time. Okay, no, actually the next few are all songs a lot of the next ones are songs I know, so that's good. I've just done sort of a semi-warm-up, but I've also got the walk to the hill that is part of my warm-up, I guess. And I won't actually start the running time on here until I'm at the top of that hill. So I don't think this run will be as long, but I'm hoping it'll be something new to work towards. That's what I'm hoping. All right, I'll see you all after and let you know how it went. Oh, hello. I'm back. I don't think you can see me very well. I'm gonna talk to you after, but that was, I think, my best run so far, and I felt really good about it, and I kept this thing on the entire time, and I feel like maybe that helped. I will talk later. Let me cool down, stretch, shower, all that, and then I will speak to you. Hello. This is what I look like after I've run and then come home and stretched and, you know, taken my hair out, and it's just, woo! And I was gonna film, as I said earlier, after I had my shower, but my grandma's just gone out and she might be back by the time I have finished showering, or yeah. So I'd just rather film whilst I can, you know, not have to worry about distracting people or being noisy or sounding crazy. Today was so good. Initially, I was regretting what I'd said about walking to the park and then starting the run, because A, it was so cold, and B, like, I was just full of, you know, energy. I wanted to run. But the problem is, if on my way, first of all, I have to go up a hill to get to the top of the hill, obviously, but second of all, there's also a main road I need to cross, so I have to stop unless I'm really lucky. And I just didn't want to have to worry about any of that. Actually, there's 2 roads I need to cross. 2 big roads and then a few other little roads, and I just was like, I don't want to deal with that. And so I got to the top of the hill and I started running and I ran into the park, and at some point, even before the first kilometre mark, I was like, I'm not gonna make it. I'm just not gonna make it. Now, for the record, by the way, this morning and last night, I think I was editing different running videos, the last 2 you would have seen, and I've noticed I say that a lot. The amount of times that I say, oh, I got to a certain mark and didn't think I could go any further, but I pushed myself further and I got further. It's incredible. So it just goes to show you how mindsets work and how much more capable your body is than sometimes your mind thinks it is. And how sometimes it's better not to listen to your body and just keep going. I don't want to give that advice though, because sometimes you do need to listen to your body. So it's hard to find the balance. And I think so far I've just been lucky. But yeah, I got to less than 1 kilometre and I was like, I'm not even gonna make it to 1, let alone 2. But I made it to 1 and I kept going. And don't get me wrong, like, it was a slower run than what I usually do. Like, usually I'm quite, you know, I go for it, whereas this was more like little running. It was a slower run, but I got to 2 kilometres. I got to 2 kilometres and I'm really proud of myself for that. And the park where I run is a rectangle, and usually when I'm doing my runs there, I usually do sort of like 1 strip and then walk a bit and then run and then walk. Like, that's usually kind of what I do. But this time I got to the 2 kilometre mark and I do think I walked for a little bit then, but then I did 3 sides and then walked 1 and then did 3 sides again and then walked 1. And it was only later on that I then couldn't do that quite as much. But I ended up doing a lot more running on this run than I normally do, and that felt so good. Especially because, as I say, I did 2 whole kilometres not stopping, then I did maybe like a strip and a little bit, and then I did another like 3 before stopping again to walk. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can do this. And it's so interesting to me because I think I just have never forced myself to try that. And guess what? In the end, I still did 6 kilometres today. So pretty pleased with that. And I think I did 5 kilometres in like 33 minutes, which is also massive for me. Like, that is from 38 to 33, incredible. I think it was 33, I could be mistaken. My average tempo, I think this was my fastest ever average tempo, it was 6:56. Let's see what it says. Well, it was my fastest 5 kilometres, it was 34 minutes, but still. And it was my fastest mile. It doesn't say it was my fastest tempo, but maybe it just doesn't give me a reward for that. Let me have a look. Yeah, it was. By far, by a whole minute, almost. Oh no, not quite. No, my fastest tempo is 7:28 before today, which was 6:56, so it's half a minute. Oh, and I've moved up a level. I've gone from yellow to orange. Yay! But now to move up to the next level, I need to do 250 kilometres, so I need to do 200 more. No, thank you. But yay! Oh my gosh, I'm so pleased with that. And I'm even wearing orange. But yeah, I was thinking maybe the reason why last time I ran, I was so out of breath so quickly might just be because of how cold it is now. And even though I feel warm when I'm running, it's possible that my lungs just like from the cold. I don't know how bodies work, but that's my presumption. So I think wearing the extra layer probably is good. And I kept it on and zipped up the entire run. So maybe I just need to keep doing that. But I'm really, really pleased with myself. This was just like totally by far my best run ever. And I'm so glad I pushed myself both in that first 2 kilometres, but then also after that when I was doing the 3 instead of just 1 or 2. Because it proves to me that I can do that. Like, I don't need to stop as much as I think I do. And maybe today was just a good day. You know, I did a run a couple of days ago, so maybe A, my body is feeling fit, and B, maybe I'm just feeling more energetic, or I don't know what it is, but I'm feeling good. I do have tomorrow off as well, so I'm really hoping I can go for a run again tomorrow and just maintain it. That would be really great if I could do that. But I feel so good. I feel so good. I needed this. I feel like I needed this. I mean, look, I did the 7 kilometers a few days ago, which was also good, but that was only good because of the distance. I did not feel like it was a good run, as you would have heard. But today, for the first time, I actually feel like, no, this was a proper run. This was primarily running with a bit of walking as opposed to the opposite, which is what it's been until now. And I still did 6 kilometers. Oh, it just feels so good. This is where I want to be. And this is, I think this needs to be my mindset going into the next few months, is just like trying to run more and then also get the distance if I can, obviously. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Like, I think tomorrow I'll just say to myself, again, I need to get to that 2 kilometer mark without stopping. And maybe I will run to the park because I feel like I can be a little bit more relaxed with the roads. Like, that's okay. I can stop for a road. But then I've also got the challenge of going uphill. So I think that's going to be tomorrow if I feel up for it. And then ideally, if I can do the first 2 kilometers and then run to 6.5 or something like that. I was going to stop at 5 today. I even left the park earlier than I could have. I could have done an extra lap in the park. And I thought, no, I want to get home. So I'm going to go home and I'm going to hit 5 kilometers exactly as I get home. Somehow my distancing, my knowledge of the distances is pathetic. And it was 5.5 when I got home. And I was like, I'm going to do an extra 500 meters. And then the 500 meters is always like, I cannot gauge distances. That 500 meters felt so much further and longer than it should have been. But I did it. I did it. And I'm sorry if this video, like all these videos I feel are very much me just being proud of myself. I mean, at the end of the day, it is my channel, but I'm kind of hoping that this shows that any old person can do it. Not that I'm old, but as in like any random person can run. And I'm not kidding myself that, you know, I've come from absolute zero, because I have done lots of dance and other forms of exercise. But equally, I've never been the most sporty person, and I've definitely never been a runner. And I've kind of just chosen to pick this up a little bit out of nowhere. And I'm doing it, and it's not perfect. As I say, I keep saying, you know, I'm still doing loads of walking, but I'm working on it, and I want to show to others that it is possible. This whole channel is about me showing what a regular, ordinary person is like. You know what I mean? It's the same with the acting stuff. Like this year, I haven't done very much in terms of the acting stuff, but I want to show the reality of it. And it's the same with the running. Right, I need to shower and answer some messages because I've got loads from the 40 minutes I was away. It's like everyone wanted to speak to me in those 40 minutes. But I'm gonna get into some comfy clothes and hopefully film lots of videos. That's my plan for today. And I will hopefully see you tomorrow, hopefully. Yay, bye. Hello, my hair's a mess, but that's because I need to wash it. But I'm gonna go for a run first and then wash it after. And I think today is going to be not as long. I'm planning to again hit the 2 kilometers without stopping to run, as in stopping to walk, sorry. And that's basically my only goal. And I'm going to run to the park, so obviously I'll have at least 1 kilometer back. But I really don't intend for this to be a long run. I don't really want it to be more than half an hour, because as I say, I need to wash my hair and I've got a bunch of other stuff I want to do before Shabbat comes in, and it comes in very early nowadays. So I'm just gonna do the running bit and then worry less about the distance, really. But I'm wearing my new leggings today. I don't know if you can see, these are like the 3/4 length ones, and they go really well with this top. I think they're slightly more blue than the other ones. But I've warmed up, so I'm just gonna go, basically. I'm just gonna go and hopefully be back in about half an hour. Bye! Hello. Freshly washed and showered and happy. Today's run was not great. I almost ran the 2 kilometers without stopping, but I did take, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds just to take a breather once I got to the top of the hill. And that ended up being about 1.4 kilometers in, because I ended up taking a slightly different route to the park because I was dreading the hill. And then I literally did 1 lap around the park, and that was it. Although I do think I ended up running a little bit longer nearer my house, so that I could get to 4 kilometers. And I did the 4 kilometers in under half an hour, so it wasn't bad. My pace was still, it was as good as yesterday. So theoretically, it wasn't actually such a bad run, but I didn't feel great whilst I was doing it. And I could also feel my legs were aching a little bit, my hips again. And I think it's just because I have obviously done a fair amount of running in the last few days. And I think my body was just like, no thank you. So, you know, it is what it is. I did it. You know, I still ran 4 kilometers today, and I'm still improving my pace, so I'm glad I did it. And now I'm probably not going to run until I think next Wednesday, which is a shame, unless something changes in my timetable. But that's the update from today. See ya!